Uh, I wanted to share my story of how I think I knew Jesus, but more like how I found him, and a little bit of background on uh, like a condensed version of my story, so that probably I can just tell how I met Jesus, and probably that might bless you too. So I'll probably start off by saying how I came in, how I my about my Christian background. I was born and brought up in a Christian home, but it wasn't we were these we weren't too serious about our faith. We believed in Jesus, yes, we believed that He is the only God, but we didn't really understand what that meant. And as growing up, I always felt I never believed that life is just that's it. I always believed that there's something more to life, and I always believe that there's an afterlife, because it just doesn't make sense for us to just live the way we are living life right now. I mean, it doesn't make sense if there is nothing after this. I mean, I think that is something that I will go on in depth about, but I'll just stay away from that. Uh, Apart from that, I have seen supernatural things, and I have had some really miraculous prayers being answered, and I have had a lot of incidents in my life which made me believe in Jesus. I believed in Jesus. I was never a religious person. I just believed in him. I liked him because he always sort of answered my prayers, and he took care of me. And but somewhere when I was growing up, I think when I was around 16 to 17, I started getting a little bit curious about different things. I started asking like why, what are these people like. The first question I started asking when I was 16 or 17 is I was looking at a few people smoking, and I'm like, I want to check that out. And it started off something so simple like that. I actually did not like smoking at that time, but I kept doing it anyway. And eventually I just got addicted to that. And I also had my first beer during this time, and very little. I actually got drunk just with half beer for my first time. Very little did I know that at some point in my life I was going to be an alcoholic for a really short time. And after that, I also sort of had a had smoked pot and all of these things. But the point where this all started happening, I feel, is I had a friend when I was in school. We used to be pretty close, and we used to talk about a lot of spiritual things, and we both were believers. And during that time, he told me that God speaks to him, literally. And I was like, okay. I believed him. I didn't have any reason to question him. But it wasn't serious. I'm like, oh, okay, God believes, God speaks to you, cool. And during this time, I had my first crush on this one girl. And one day, I was walking with my friend, and this girl was walking in front of me. And this guy, all of a sudden, I haven't told anyone about this crush, nobody at all, not one single person. And this guy, just suddenly turns and looks at her, and turns and looks at me, and says, what you're doing is not right. And I'm like, okay. And I slowly started trying to cut him off, because age, I guess. And I cut him off. I slowly started going away from God, and I started living a life where I was just seeking pleasure. And that's all I was seeking for. I just wanted to find something, I just wanted to find something that would make me feel good, make me feel like I'm worth living. And during this time, I've had really bad experiences with rejection. It's the way I got rejected a couple of times. It just made me feel really bad about myself. And it just made me feel a little bit insecure about myself. It was more I was always a second choice to people. And it just hurt me a lot. It just hurt me. I never how do I exactly put it? So I've always been a second choice, and I never really thought that I'm worthy to be loved. And because of this, I just started trying to seek pleasure and whatever it is, And I've had a bunch of friends like who are amazing in college. Like I couldn't have made college without them, and we had so much fun. But I spent a lot of my life towards the end of my college years depressed, and but still I used to once in a while talk to God whenever I needed something, and especially when I wanted to. When I wanted to pass in my exams and everything, right? So there's a lot of things that God did for me. I don't I'll probably try to cover as much as I can. I don't want to make this too lengthy, and so during these times I was a lot of people ended up hurting me, and I started getting a lot depressed, and I couldn't do anything. But over time God gave he miraculously made me pass despite I never studied in my exams, and despite all of this he gave me a really good job, and that went on for a while, and then I had the chance to move to Bangalore away from my parents for the first time. And once I went there, the first flatmate I got, I realized that I came to know that he was a heavy pot smoker, and I was like, whoa, this is life, this is life. I get to smoke pot every day. And I was smoking pot. I was like a chain smoker. I was smoking around 10 to 15 cigarettes a day, and I used to smoke pot whenever I get the chance. There were times when I felt why am I doing all this? This doesn't do anything to me. It's still, I still feel empty. I still, when I sleep at night, I still feel that void, that emptiness in me. But I just wanted to run away from that, and life just seemed to make no sense to me. And there were several times I actually contemplated ending my life, and but I didn't. The reason I didn't do that is because there was this one time when I was standing at the roof of my terrace, and I was sort of standing at the edge of the the place, and I had this voice suddenly come which said just one more step and everything will be okay. It just wanted me to die right there. And I got freaked out, but I wanted to do that. But then another slightly gentle whisper came which felt like it was my own thought, which came and told me, if you do that, what you are going through, your parents will go through. And just because of that, I did not want to live, but I decided I was going to live because I don't want my parents to go through what I went through. And this went on for a while, but I was merely living life because I just I had to, and that was basically it. I just felt like I had it was I was compelled to do it. I had to do it, and not something that I actually wanted to do. And this went on for a while, and over time I started building these defense mechanisms around me, which where I started to become a person where I would use dark humor. I would use humor to distract people. I'd just make these perverted jokes. And one time, a few of them even called me with a name called Double Meaning Compiler. For you technical people, non-computer folks, what compiler does is it converts some program into something else that a machine can understand. The reason they call me that is because whatever you say, however pure you say, however beautiful it is, I can make that perverted. I can make that into a perverted joke just like that. I wouldn't even have to think. I was so good at that. And the reason I was doing this is because I did not want people to get to know me. I did not want people to know me. I did not want to get hurt more than how much hurt I have been. And that went on for a while. But even in that, I always longed to have someone break through all that walls that I have built. And I wanted to be known, I wanted to be understood, I wanted to be loved. And it never happened. I mean, even the very few times it happened, I ended up going through even worse than, I got my heart broken even worse than where it was. And so all of this happening, I went into deep depression. I was extremely suicidal. I used to literally think about different ways I can die most of my life. And every single day I would just wake up and I would think, okay, this is how Like, you know, like I'd be like, okay, that's a cool way to die. This is a cool way to die. This is a cool way to die. Every single day, I kept thinking about death at least once, and sometimes just all the day, just thinking about how to die. But then I couldn't die because I love my parents. And I even at one point thought, like, you know, I can't kill myself, but I thought, like, you know, I can probably smoke myself so that I can die sooner. And like I used to, like, you know, if normally I used to smoke one cigarette, I made that, like, you know, I'd smoke 2 cigarettes or 3 cigarettes just so that I would die soon. And I went into deep depression. A good friend of mine, like, you know, like he sort of understood I was not doing well. And the reason, like, you know, like I emphasized on this one friend is because, like, you know, despite all these were happening, like I used to put up this face with people that, like, you know, I'm perfectly fine, like, you know, I'm totally good, like, you know, people used to look at me and be like, wow, what a guy, like, you know, he's living life carefree, how joyful he is. I was so good in putting up a mask that nobody could see that I was depressed. And I just remembered this one quote, like, you know, which says, like, you know, oftentimes the ones who need help the most are the last ones to ask for it. And I think that was so relatable for me. And this guy sort of saw that, and he also figured out that I didn't want to talk to anybody about it. And he pointed me to a psychiatrist. I went into therapy for a year, and I was on antidepressants for a year. And I was actually making good progress. And I started feeling a lot better, actually. But then I had to change a lot of things which were my identity. Like, they were like, you know, you aren't assertive, like, you know, you need to be a better person, like, you know, people are taking advantage of you and all of those things. But then that is who I am. Like, you know, I want to be nice to people, regardless whether they are nice to me or not. But then I had to do that because, like, I didn't want to get hurt again. And but despite all of that, I was doing really well. And after another 6 months or so, what happened is, like, you know, I just started feeling some emptiness, like, you know, it was all coming back to me again. And during this time, what I started doing was, I again, like, you know, in between I was, like, you know, going a little, I wasn't drinking alcohol much, even though I was, like, you know, in a phase before this where I was like a heavy alcoholic. I used to drink every single day, at least, like, you know, half a liter or at least 250 ml. And so I used to drink a lot, and this time I wasn't drinking, so I was smoking, and I was smoking pot a little bit. But soon this marijuana addiction, like, you know, started to grow. What I used to do was, every day I'd come from work, I'd just, like, you know, smoke in the night, and, like, you know, I'd just, like, you know, let the routine pass by. And slowly what started happening was, like, you know, I wanted to smoke in the morning. Like, I wake up, I started waking up at, like, random times, like 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m. I'd wake up in these times, I'd smoke pot, and then I will stop smoking around 8 o'clock or something, so that I'd have to get ready to work. But then this started to creep into my entire day, that in 24 hours, I probably will be sober for 2 or 3 hours. And I used to go to work high. I was becoming a complete mess. I was losing control. Being sober was so tormenting and torturous for me. I couldn't face reality at all. And I knew that it was only a matter of time before the thoughts about killing myself, like, you know, was going to come. And I knew this time it was going to be so much worse than all the previous time I've had. And this just kept going. And one day I had some, it's called goli. It's like, you know, like those edible marijuana, like, you know, balls or something. And I had a bunch of them because I was going back to my parents and I can't smoke there. But I wanted to get high still. So I got a lot of these, and I was sitting at my friend's place. He's the one who's taking the video. And he saw me eating all of these, and, like, you know, he started, like, you know, he got a hold of me, and, like, you know, he started asking me, why are you doing all of this? Like, you know, God doesn't want you to do all of this. God dislikes this. He was saying all of this. And one thing I was thinking, I mean, this guy used to smoke with me, smoke pot with me, get drunk with me when we were in college, and he is saying all of these things. I mean, I was thinking, but he's a really good friend of mine, so I was like, you know, I wanted to hear him out. And plus, something was like, you know, something grabbed a hold of me, like, even though I was high at that moment, like, you know, something got me. I was listening to him. I wanted to listen to him. I was like, listening to him, like, I was just telling him how I want to be, I don't have that peace, and how I wanted to, like, you know, get high to, like, you know, have that peace and all of those. and he was telling me that you can find all of that in God. And I was telling him, like, I love smoking pot, I don't want to stop. He was telling me you will find even more in God. Like, one thing when he spoke stood out to me. He said this one thing that I've never heard before: a relationship with God. And I was like, what do you mean by a relationship? Like, he was like, you need to have a relationship, you need to speak to him, he will help you get out of sin. So what I went home, I was like, man, I don't know what to do, but I feel like I have to do something, like I want to do something. And I just was high, I went to sleep. And next day I went, like I was sitting near my mom, she was watching this testimony of a guy. Testimony is something that somebody, like, how they found Jesus, like, like how Jesus transformed their life. And this guy used to be a smoker, he used to smoke a lot. And some guy, like, he said that he used to be a Hindu. And some guy came and told him that, like, Jesus can help you quit smoking, just ask him. And he just started talking to God. And I was just so curious. And he said, like, how he was telling how God helped him quit smoking and how he hasn't smoked for 19 years of his life or something. And that was like, wow, I want that. And I was also like, wow, can you speak to God just like that? It was so weird for me. And but I was driving, like I was driving back to, like, away from my parents' place to my to Bangalore, where I was staying. And when I was going, like, I was just talking to God. I'm like, I turned off all the music, like, like I used to be a crazy Pink Floyd fan. I like always, like, like listen to their solos when I'm driving, but this time no, I'm turning off everything and I'm just going to, like, talk to God. And I started talking to him. I started telling all the things that were in my life. I started telling how things has been ever since I left and everything. And for the first time in my life, I got something in me, like the conviction or the feeling that I should stop smoking pot. I was telling him I'll stop smoking cigarettes, I'll do whatever you want, but I felt like I need to stop smoking pot for the first time in my life. And I'm like, no, God, I'm not doing that. I like smoking pot. I'm not going to do that. I'll do whatever else you want me to, but this I'm not doing. And I wrestled with him for a bit, but then eventually I was like, okay, if you want me to do that, I will do that. So I don't smoke inside my car. I always, like, take a break. Like, I stop my car, get outside and, like, smoke and, like, get back in. And so what I had done before I started was, like, I got a small packet with 5 cigarettes in it. And I was like, Jesus, this is going to be my last 5 cigarettes. I do not know how I'm going to do this, but if you can help me to, like, get over this, I can get, like, I can stop smoking. And I went out away from that. And I stopped my car for the 3rd time. I was going to smoke the 3rd cigarette. I smoked my 3rd cigarette. I come back inside the car. And for the first time, like, that smell of cigarette in the car, like, I'm like, that feels disgusting. And I stopped. I'm still talking to God. I go, like, I stop for the 4th cigarette. And I'm just, like, like, when I was almost done with the cigarette, I'm like, why am I even smoking? Like, I don't feel like smoking. Like, I feel something is happening, but I don't really understand it. And I was just going, and I stopped my car for the 5th time, and I was smoking. And halfway through, I'm like, I don't have to smoke. I don't want to smoke. And that's when it hit me. I'm free. And I got in the car so excited. I went home in another 1 hour or something, and I took all the things I need to smoke pot. Like, I get everything, and I just take the, like, bong, and I'm like, God, you help me through that. I can't do this. If you have some way to stop me from this, then I can stop. I cannot do this on my own. I just said that. At that moment, something happened. Like, I was just sitting there. I could feel the manifestation of Jesus in front of me. I couldn't see him, but I felt him as if I could feel him in my entire physical being. Love was being poured out on me. I felt so joyful. I was being loved by a God who was so far away from me, and I couldn't see him. But yet, I could feel it, and I could love him back. And at that moment, I used to hear, like, Jesus died for your sins, Jesus died for your sins, but it was like, like, it was more like a story. But at this moment, it became reality. Something clicked in me. I was like, Jesus died for my sins. He died so I could have eternal life. I could skip eternal punishment. I could not have to go to hell. I can spend an eternity with him in heaven. That hit me, and it hit me that he is the only way. And I also it hit me how I was seeking love in all of these things, how I tried to fill this God-shaped hole in me, but that was that can only be filled by God, that can only be filled by Jesus. And it just hit me at that moment that I am loved so much, that I am perfect, that I am a masterpiece of God, that He loves me. Everything I've thought about Him was false. Everything that I thought about God was lies. All those new age things, karma, and all the super philosophical theories, butterfly effect, everything. It's just empty philosophy. It was not the truth. Finally, I knew the truth. And once I realized this, I think all of this happened in probably 5 to 10 seconds. And I was filled with a righteous anger at that moment. I looked at the marijuana and I'm like, God gave me so much wisdom. He gave me such a good memory power, but I'm destroying it. I'm destroying everything by smoking. And I just got so angry. I took a plastic bag and I just put everything and I just threw it in the balcony, hoping that the maid will come tomorrow and the next day and take that up. But the next day it was still there and I was so tempted, but sorry, I got interrupted in between. So I was okay, I'll smoke just this much because I have it with me and I will stop after this. And I felt really guilty for smoking through that, but I finished whatever little I had in the next week. But Jesus was faithful through that time, and after that He started guiding me in His ways, and He started showing me the truth. He started showing new things in me. And it's going to be a year since this happened, when this month ends. And it's not even been an entire full year, but I have changed so much. I used to be oh, party, party, party. And now I used to be oh, prayers, prayers, prayers. And I just completely transformed. And it's so good. I'm so in love with the new me. And it's not that my life transformed, everything around me transformed so much. No. But I feel so complete. I feel so satisfied. No matter what happens around me, I am so happy that my life has purpose, my life has meaning, that meaning is only from God and it can be from nothing else. And we are so distracted. I use drugs, but people nowadays use we are so focused on doing something in our life. We are obsessed with sex. We are obsessed with celebrities. We are obsessed with random things. We just obsess over something and we stop thinking about what life is. And even if we do want to think about it, we just think about in terms of what we see. But the truth is something that we don't see yet. And there is eternal life with God. And that's what He is calling us for. And if I would probably say something, if you are watching this and you don't know God, or the God that you don't know Jesus specifically, because we all believe in different things. But if you don't believe in Jesus, and especially if you feel sad, if you're lonely, if you feel that there's an emptiness, just talk to Jesus. He can set everything right. He can change your life just like that. He loves you. He wants you to spend an eternity with Him. And I think that's about it. That's about it. I don't really have much to add on, because you don't have to go to a church to be a Christian. You don't have to pray 10 times a day to be a Christian. You don't have to read Bible 10 times a day to be a Christian. I mean, you do all of those things to have a spiritual growth, yes. But you are a Christian if you believe that Jesus Christ died for you, and that without Him there is no purpose, and that you trust Him for everything. That's how you be a Christian. That's it. Don't look at all these priests and all those people who show themselves as too holy or something. They don't represent God. Just talk to God directly. He loves you and He wants to know you. And I hope you do think about this. God bless you.